well, how does what you do affect me? How does it make me look? And
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I feel like with music, but in entertainment, but you know, when we're rallying people behind our cause, we do have to appeal to that too, right?
So this is really important for songwriters, and I think it applies across the board. You can either write songs for me, which is the dude in his bedroom who's not thinking about anybody else, and he's writing songs for himself. That dude maybe never ever gets out of his bedroom, right? And then you can write songs for you, which is the like flash in the pan pop artist who is going to kill it for 5 years. They're going to be freaking huge for 5 years. They're going to have 30,000 people at shows for 5 years, and then they're going to kind of like Katy Perry, love her, God bless her, flash and pan, right? Like, when was the last hit from Katy Perry? Because all the writers that were writing for her were writing for you. And then you can write for us. Then there's people who write for us. They're not the closet writers who are just like super indie, super artsy, like have this grassroots following with like 75 people, and they're always going to have 75 people, and that's fine, but it's always going to be 75 people. And they're not like flash in a pan, like overnight sensation, you know, pop artist who is writing for just the masses. Like, I'm literally just writing so I can have a radio hit. But I'm thinking about us. I'm thinking about humanity. I'm thinking about me in the sense that I need to be true to who I am. I'm not just selling a product because you can smell that and it smells cheap and it's fun for 5 years and then it's done. But I'm also not just I have to write. It has to be like me. I have to be involved in it. But it's also not cheap in the sense that I'm just writing for you and you kind of know like you're just trying to sell something to me, and I'll enjoy it, but I'm not going to stay around for the next 20 years. And then there's artists, you know, who are going to be around for just ever, you know, like the U2s and people like Coldplay. Like, they'll just be around forever. They just will. I think people like Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick's going to be around forever because he's saying something honest and personal, but he's thinking about us. Yeah. He's not just trying to, like, get on the radio,
it's
right?
the we, not me mentality of what you're creating and what you're offering. It's inclusive.
Yep, and it's also a we, not you mentality. I'm not just thinking about you in the sense that I'm trying to sell you some cool product, right? This is for us. This is for the people.
Creating a culture, so to speak, that can last.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. I think that's good with any cause that you're trying to move forward. Has there been anyone in your life that you have felt like you're a part of their culture, and that you've tried to emulate that? You know, anyone specific in your life that I don't want to say idolize, but that you really respect and admire about what they do, and you have tried to emulate or imitate that in what you do?
Yeah. There's not like a person or a couple of people that are like, oh, they're doing exactly what I want to do, and I want to do it that way. So I kind of have to find parts of like each individual, like, okay, I need to look at these really great songwriters to take cues from them. I need to like look at these really great producers to take cues from them. I need to watch this really great performer to take a cue. Like, I might look at an Adele song and be like, oh wow, or an Ed Sheeran song, and like really take some cues from some songwriting things there. But like, Adele's not that fun of a performer to watch. So I might like look at somebody else who I think is like an amazing performer and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take some cues. Or a really great communicator and be like, oh man, that dude just captivated an audience in like 2 minutes by saying something, his body language, his timing, his comedic timing, all that stuff. So I think it's important to like, here's who I am, here's what makes me up as an artist, and I'm not just going to like try to copy some person, but I'm constantly learning. I think we should be learning. I was listening to podcasts on the way here that have nothing to do with the music industry, whatever. And I'm learning from the way they're communicating, the way they're thinking, the way that people, I'm just constantly trying to learn, you know, because I can incorporate that into everything that I am and all that I do, you know.
Yeah. So you've been trying to get a diversity, you know, of
for me, that's what I have to do.
In your life. There's
not like a person who's like Chance the Rapper in the last couple of years is a dude that I'm like, he's actually doing, he's actually doing a lot of what I want to do. It's been years though since somebody kind of came on the scene that was like, oh, okay. They're like, he's saying stuff in a way that like I really respect. He's talking about God and spiritual things in a way that's not like churchy or whatever. He's allowing himself to be like honest though and like be who he is. I think he's a great performer. I think he's a good songwriter. So if there was like a person right now, I'd be like, yeah, he's probably the closest thing. Not like, I'm not a hip hop guy, so I'm not talking about like his style of music, but just like the general philosophy of kind of his approach is like the closest thing maybe to something I would emulate, I think.
Yeah. But I really do think your reluctance to say there's absolutely one person I want to be like is healthy, because, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, in the business world. I don't know if you've heard of Gary Vee, right? I just see so many people in the business nonprofit world trying to hustle like he does. Right. And he builds his whole brand around that. Be exactly like me, do what I do, right? And it can get unhealthy because they're not, right?
Totally.
And you're not all of those influences.
Right. And there's a bunch of different ways to that same target of success. You know what I mean? Some artists, for instance, tour 360 days a year, and that's how they do it. Some other artists tour a month out of the year and have a really great song that just like makes it. Some artists don't ever tour and don't ever have a radio hit, and they just put out a really great video or whatever. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of times there's a different way, different path to like that same goal or whatever.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
You got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
You know what's true to you.
Yeah, and you have to know who you are, be introspective in that way, right? And, I love that. And Emily from NYU actually asked this question that I think is really good for you as a musician. Probably know this, and then also our interns are really trying to hone this in this skill is networking. And she, you know, she says, I assume being a musician means you have to do a lot of people work. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us just a little bit, you know, some wisdom on that people work, that networking, because they're trying to do it for fundraising and for their passions. Yeah. How do you do that, and how can you give us some advice?
Well, I'll say this. I did this leadership training this last year called Giant Worldwide, and these guys who they train like the Ford executives, and it's this really kind of like small, like elite group that I somehow like got snuck into. And there's like 40 of us, and they say that 90% of business transactions happen in like a small talk, just like kind of getting to know people. You have a glass of wine in your hand or a cocktail or, you know, an hors d'oeuvre or whatever. You're at a party, you're mingling. That like networking, 90% of business transactions happen there. And when they told me that, it was like the worst news I had ever heard, because dude, I am like a notoriously terrible small talker. Like it feels like a waste of time. They called me. They were like, they had us rate what they call gears. And so gear 1 is small talk. Gear 1 is like alone time. Gear 2 is like deep, meaningful conversation. Gear 3 is like small talk, getting to know people, whatever. And gear 3 was like my last, like least easy gear to get into, least favorite. I had the least respect for it, and they were like, Dominic, you don't value gear 3, huh? You think it's a waste of time? And I was like, yeah, dude. It's 100% a waste of time. Like, I want to get into a meaningful conversation if I'm going to talk to somebody. And that's when they were like, yeah, but 90% of business transactions happen there. And you'll never get to a meaningful conversation with a stranger unless you first go to like that small talk kind of networking thing. So in the music industry, it is 100% about networking. I just suck at it. Like, I love people, but I suck at small talk. And I would say, learn how to small talk and learn how to be interested before interesting. If you can learn how to be interested in somebody that you're talking to, a new person that you're talking to, instead of just like being interesting and like I want them to know how great I am or whatever, dude, that is going to go so far. And like every tour that's ever been set up, it's all because of relationships. It's not because, oh, that band, I love them, they're going to kill it. It's like, no, I want to be on the road with those guys for 3 months, right? I want this guy opening for me because I like him. I want to have dinner with him after the show. I want to tour, I want to be in a bus with him for 3 months or whatever. It's all about relationships. It's all about networking. Like I said, I'm notoriously terrible at it, and I'm constantly growing at that. But it is critical for any kind of like business to move forward.